Mia Thompson sat in the back of Mrs. Parker's fifth-grade classroom, her small hands clasped tightly around the strap of her backpack as she tried to focus on the lesson. The morning sunlight streamed through the tall windows, casting a warm glow over the room, but Mia barely noticed it. Today, the teacher had asked the students to share stories about their families, something that usually made Mia excited because she loved talking about her mom, Captain Rachel Thompson, a Navy SEAL. Mia had grown up hearing stories of her mom's courage, her strength, and the way she helped people all over the world. Every time her mom came home, even for a short visit, she brought back little lessons about teamwork, bravery, and never giving up, and Mia treasured those moments more than anything. She had been waiting all week for her turn, imagining how proud she would feel when she shared her story with the class. Finally, Mrs. Parker called her name. Mia's heart raced, and she stood up slowly, trying to hide the excitement that bubbled inside her. "My mom is a Navy SEAL," Mia began, her voice steady but soft. "She travels to different countries to help people, and sometimes she's gone for months. But she always writes me letters, and she tells me to be brave and kind, just like she tries to be." For a moment, the classroom went quiet, the other students staring at her with wide eyes. Mia's chest swelled with pride as she imagined her mom reading her words later. But that pride didn't last long. Mrs. Parker's frown deepened, and she shook her head. "Mia, that's enough," she said sharply. "We're here to learn, not to hear about your mother's adventures. Please sit down and focus on the assignment." Mia's ears burned, and she felt a heavy weight settle in her stomach. The words hit her harder than she expected. Some of the other students giggled nervously, while a few looked at her with curiosity, not fully understanding what had just happened. Mia sank back into her chair, her excitement drained, replaced by embarrassment and hurt. She wanted to disappear, to shrink into herself so that no one could see how her face was turning red and how her eyes welled up with tears. For a moment, she thought about not speaking at all, about keeping her pride and love for her mom hidden inside, where it couldn't be judged or dismissed. The classroom seemed louder now, the chatter of other students filling the space around her, but Mia felt completely alone. She remembered the nights she stayed awake counting the days until her mom came home, the letters she carefully unfolded and read over and over, the small gifts her mom left behind when she returned from a mission. All of it felt invisible now, as if none of it mattered to anyone else. When the bell rang for recess, Mia gathered her belongings quietly, avoiding eye contact with Mrs. Parker, who was busy calling attendance. Outside, the cool breeze hit her face as she walked to the swings, her backpack feeling heavier than usual. She sat down and hugged her knees, staring at the ground as she tried to hold back tears. Her best friend, Daniel, noticed her sitting alone and came over, sliding onto the swing next to her. "Hey, Mia," he said gently. "Don't let her words get to you. Your mom is amazing, and you're lucky to have her." Mia sniffled and managed a small smile. "It's just. I wanted to tell everyone how proud I am of her," she whispered. But she didn't even want to listen. Why can't people just be proud of their parents? Daniel shrugged, swinging his legs slightly. "Some people don't understand greatness when they see it. But your mom, she's a hero. And you're her daughter, which means some of that bravery and courage is in you too." Mia looked at Daniel, feeling a flicker of hope inside her. Maybe he was right. Maybe it didn't matter if Mrs. Parker didn't understand. Maybe what mattered was that she knew the truth about her mom, about the incredible things she did and the way she made people's lives better. She thought about the letters she had received that morning, the words her mom had written telling her to always be strong and to never be ashamed of who she was. A small smile formed on her lips as she realized that her pride didn't need validation from anyone else. It was hers, and it was real. As the recess bell rang again, signaling the end of break, Mia took a deep breath and stood up, feeling a little lighter than before. She knew the day wasn't over, and she still had to face the rest of the lessons, the other students, and Mrs. Parker. But for the first time since she had spoken in class, she felt a sense of quiet strength. She carried with her the stories of her mom's courage, the letters filled with love and wisdom, and the reminder from Daniel that some people just need time to see the greatness that others already know. And in that moment, swinging gently on the playground, Mia promised herself that she would never stop being proud of her mom, no matter what anyone else said or thought. The warmth of that promise settled around her like a comforting blanket, giving her the courage to face the rest of the day with her head held a little higher and her heart a little braver. After recess, Mia returned to the classroom, her backpack feeling slightly lighter, but the memory of Mrs. Parker's sharp words still lingered in her mind like a shadow she couldn't shake. She took her seat quietly, trying to focus on the lesson, but her thoughts kept drifting back to her mom, Captain Rachel Thompson, and the way she always seemed to know exactly what to say to make Mia feel strong, brave, and proud. The classroom felt unusually quiet for a few minutes as Mrs. Parker wrote instructions on the board, and Mia noticed that some of her classmates were glancing at her with curious expressions, probably wondering why she had looked so upset earlier. Daniel, sitting a few rows ahead, caught her eye and gave her a small, encouraging nod. That simple gesture made Mia's chest swell with a little more courage. She remembered the notes she had written in her journal over the past few days about her mom, the stories she had carefully chosen, and the way she wanted to share them not just for herself, but to inspire others, even if just a little. She thought about the time her mom had come home with stories about helping a village rebuild after a storm, about how she had worked with a team to rescue people in danger, and how she always emphasized teamwork, compassion, and never giving up, even when the task seemed impossible. Mia realized that those lessons were as important as any school assignment, even if Mrs. Parker didn't see it that way. As the teacher began reading a passage from a history book, Mia found herself daydreaming about her mom's missions, imagining the courage it took to face challenges, and feeling proud that she got to call such an incredible woman her mother. She wondered what it would be like if her classmates could see her mom in action, to understand why she admired her so much, to feel the respect and pride she carried every time she talked about her. During lunch, Mia sat with Daniel and a few other friends, trying to act normal while still feeling the sting of the morning's incident. She picked at her sandwich, lost in thought, when Daniel leaned closer and whispered, "Mia, you shouldn't be sad about what she said. Your mom is amazing, and you're lucky to know her. That's all that matters." Mia nodded slowly, grateful for his support, but a part of her still ached. She wanted to be proud openly, without feeling embarrassed or judged. She thought about the letters her mom had written that morning, each word filled with love and encouragement, and she realized that those words were stronger than any moment of shame. They reminded her that bravery wasn't only about physical courage, it was about speaking your truth, being honest about who you are, and standing tall even when others didn't understand. After lunch, the students returned to the classroom for art, and Mrs. Parker announced that they would be drawing family portraits. Mia's heart raced, knowing this was her chance to express her pride in her mom in a way no one could dismiss. She carefully sketched her mom in her Navy SEAL uniform, adding little details she remembered from the stories and letters, the helmet tucked under her arm, the small smile that always made Mia feel safe, the patches and insignia that represented courage and honor. As she drew, she noticed some of her classmates peeking at her work, their eyes widening in surprise and curiosity. Even Mrs. Parker glanced over, a faint frown still on her face, but Mia ignored it. She was lost in the joy of capturing the woman she loved most in the world. By the time the art period ended, Mia felt a sense of accomplishment she hadn't felt in a long time. Her drawing wasn't perfect, but it was real, honest, and full of pride. She carefully placed it on her desk, hoping that someday she would have the courage to show her mom. As the final periods of the day passed, Mia found herself daydreaming about her mom's return home, about the letters waiting for her, and about the way her mom always knew how to make even the darkest moments brighter. She remembered the time her mom had stayed up late to help her with a school project, balancing work, travel, and exhaustion, and she felt a surge of gratitude and admiration. She also thought about the stories her mom had shared about teamwork, bravery, and helping others, and realized that those lessons were shaping her more than any classroom lesson ever could. During math, Mia struggled to focus at first, her mind still filled with thoughts of her mom and the morning incident, but then she remembered Daniel's words and her mom's letters. Slowly, she began to work through the problems, finding a new sense of determination. She realized that if she could face the challenges in her math book, she could face anything, even judgment or misunderstanding from adults who didn't yet see her point of view. The school day finally neared its end, and Mia packed her things with a mixture of exhaustion and anticipation. She couldn't wait to get home and read the new letters her mom had sent, to feel that connection and comfort that only her mom could provide. As she walked to the front of the school with Daniel and a few friends, she noticed the parking lot unusually quiet, almost as if something was about to happen, though she couldn't put her finger on it. She shook off the feeling, thinking it was just her imagination, and focused instead on the small victories of the day, surviving the embarrassment, finishing her art project, and keeping her pride in her mom alive despite what Mrs. Parker had said. Just as the final bell rang and students spilled out into the sunlight, Mia's eyes widened in surprise. Across the street, a large convoy of military vehicles rolled slowly toward the school. Their engines rumbled like distant thunder, and Mia felt her heart leap into her throat. Could it really be her mom? The vehicles stopped near the front entrance, and doors swung open as soldiers in uniform stepped out. Mia's breath caught, and she froze, unsure if what she was seeing was real. Then, from the middle of the convoy, she saw her mother, Captain Rachel Thompson, walking with a confident, calm stride, her helmet under her arm, her eyes scanning the crowd until they landed on Mia. Tears welled up in Mia's eyes, and without thinking, she ran toward her mom, her backpack bouncing on her shoulders. Captain Thompson knelt down and pulled her daughter into a tight, protective hug, whispering, "Mia, I'm so proud of you." The other students and teachers watched in stunned silence, their previous whispers replaced by awe and admiration. Mrs. Parker stood frozen, suddenly realizing the courage and heroism Mia had been talking about, the same courage she had dismissed earlier that morning. Mia clung to her mother, feeling an overwhelming sense of pride, relief, and love all at once. She realized that everything she had felt, the embarrassment, the hurt, the longing to share her mom's story, had led to this moment. She had held on to her pride and honesty, and now it was visible for everyone to see. The convoy remained for a short time, giving the students a glimpse into the bravery and dedication of Captain Thompson and her team, and Mia watched as her classmates' eyes widened with admiration, some even whispering apologies for laughing or judging earlier. That day, Mia learned a powerful lesson: courage and pride aren't always about the approval of others, sometimes, they are about standing tall, staying true to yourself, and believing in the people you love, even when no one else does. As she walked home later with her mom, Mia felt lighter, braver, and more certain than ever that her words, her feelings, and her pride mattered. She knew that no matter what anyone else said, she would always honor her mother's courage and the lessons she had taught her, carrying them in her heart for the rest of her life. Mia's heart was pounding so hard she thought it might burst as she ran across the schoolyard toward her mom, the rumble of the convoy fading behind her, replaced by the steady thump of her own excitement and disbelief. Captain Rachel Thompson knelt down as Mia approached, her uniform perfectly neat despite the long drive and long missions she had endured, and when she opened her arms, Mia didn't hesitate for even a second before jumping into the embrace that felt like the safest place in the world. The hug was tight and warm, and Mia could feel her mother's strong hands holding her gently yet firmly, a reminder that no matter how far apart they sometimes were, her mom's love and protection were constants in her life. Tears spilled down Mia's cheeks as she buried her face into her mom's shoulder, overwhelmed by relief and joy, and for a moment, the world around her seemed to vanish. The other students, the teachers, the school buildings, everything melted away, leaving only the bond between mother and daughter. Captain Thompson whispered words of love and encouragement into Mia's ear, telling her how proud she was, how brave Mia had been for speaking about her in class, and how much she admired her daughter's strength even when faced with embarrassment. Mia lifted her head just a little and looked up at her mother's face, noticing the faint lines of fatigue, the seriousness in her eyes that always came from responsibility and duty, and the small smile that reminded Mia why she loved her mom so much. Around them, the students were gathering in small groups, whispering and pointing, and some had their phones out, clearly wanting to capture the moment, while a few younger children simply stared in wide-eyed awe at the convoy of military vehicles, the uniforms, and the sheer presence of someone who did extraordinary things. Mrs. Parker, who had been standing near the entrance, appeared frozen, her expression a mixture of shock, guilt, and sudden understanding. The pride Mia had felt earlier that day, which Mrs. Parker had dismissed so harshly, was now undeniable, visible for everyone to see, and the teacher suddenly realized that the words she had brushed aside carried real meaning, courage, and honor. Mia's classmates began to approach cautiously, some with smiles of apology, some with admiration, and some just silently observing, trying to absorb what was happening. Daniel came running up beside Mia, his eyes shining with excitement and awe, and he whispered, "I told you, Mia. Your mom is incredible." Mia smiled through her tears, gripping her mother's hands and nodding. She had never felt prouder in her entire life, and for the first time that day, the weight of shame from the morning completely lifted, replaced by an unshakable sense of love, pride, and belonging. Captain Thompson stood up slowly, scanning the crowd of students, teachers, and staff with a calm authority that made everyone around her instinctively quiet and respectful. She began to speak in a voice that was strong but gentle, addressing the students as a whole without taking attention away from Mia. "I know some of you may not understand the work I do, or the reasons why I am away sometimes," she said. "It can seem distant or even scary, but every day I strive to help people, protect others, and do the best I can. Courage isn't only for those in uniform, it's for anyone who stands up for what they believe in, who speaks the truth, who cares about others, and who never gives up, just like Mia does." The students listened quietly, their eyes wide, and Mia could see their expressions slowly change from curiosity to admiration. Even Mrs. Parker, who had been staring with a mix of guilt and awe, took a small step forward, as if realizing that her role as a teacher was also a part of helping children understand the world and the people in it. Captain Thompson knelt again to Mia's level, looking into her eyes with warmth and pride, and said, "You were brave this morning, Mia. You shared your story, and you stayed strong even when it was hard. That makes me proud beyond words, and it shows that you have courage, too." Mia felt a warmth spread through her chest, a mixture of relief, love, and newfound confidence, and she realized that no teacher, no one's words, could ever take away her pride in her mom. The convoy stayed for a while, allowing the students to come closer, ask questions, and even take a few pictures, but Mia stayed right beside her mother, holding her hand and listening to the stories she shared in her calm, inspiring voice. She learned about teamwork, bravery, dedication, and the small acts of kindness her mom had performed that often went unnoticed but made a big difference in people's lives. Mia realized that the world was bigger than her classroom, bigger than the small judgments or dismissals of adults, and that courage, kindness, and pride were things that mattered far more than the opinion of a single person. Mrs. Parker slowly approached Mia and her mother, her hands clasped together nervously, and said softly, "Mia, I want to apologize. I shouldn't have dismissed your words earlier. I see now how important your story is, and how proud you are of your mom. I'm sorry I didn't understand." Mia looked at her teacher, her tears starting to dry, and nodded gently. "It's okay," she said. "I just wanted people to know my mom is amazing. I'm proud of her, and I will always be." Mrs. Parker nodded, clearly moved, and stepped back to let Mia enjoy the moment with her mom. Around them, other students were talking excitedly, asking questions, sharing their amazement, and some even admitted that they had laughed or whispered earlier and now realized how wrong that had been. Captain Thompson smiled, gently reminding everyone that courage wasn't about being perfect or never feeling scared, but about trying, helping others, and staying true to what you believe in. Mia stayed close to her mom the entire time, listening, learning, and feeling a deep connection that was almost physical, as if the love and pride between them could be felt by everyone standing nearby. By the time the convoy had finished its brief visit and began to drive away, the students were buzzing with stories, questions, and admiration, but Mia felt a quiet satisfaction and pride that no words could capture. She had faced embarrassment, kept her love for her mom alive, and now she had proof that her pride was well-founded, visible, and undeniable. Walking home later that day with her mom by her side, Mia felt lighter, stronger, and braver than ever before. She held her mother's hand tightly, savoring the warmth and the reassurance that no matter what happened in school, in life, or in the world, her love for her mom and her mom's love for her would always remain unshakable. That evening, Mia lay in bed, thinking about the events of the day, feeling tears of happiness and pride gently fall onto her pillow, and she realized something important: courage, love, and pride weren't things you needed permission to feel. They were things you carried in your heart, nurtured through your actions, and shared with the people who mattered most. And as she drifted off to sleep, Mia felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude for her mom, for her friend Daniel, for the lessons she had learned, and for the quiet but powerful knowledge that she could face anything in life with the courage and pride she had discovered that day, because the person she admired most, her mother, was always there to guide her, protect her, and remind her of her own inner strength. After the convoy left and the excitement of the day began to settle, Mia walked beside her mother, Captain Rachel Thompson, feeling a mixture of relief, pride, and wonder that she could hardly put into words. The walk home was quiet at first, with only the soft sounds of their footsteps and the distant hum of the neighborhood filling the air, but Mia felt a comforting sense of closeness with her mom that she had not felt for weeks while her mother had been away on missions. Every now and then, she glanced up at Rachel's face, noticing the calm strength, the small lines of fatigue that told stories of challenges faced and responsibilities shouldered, and the gentle smile that always seemed to reassure Mia that no matter how far away she had been, she was always thinking of her daughter. "Mom," Mia said softly, her voice still trembling with emotion, "I didn't think anyone would ever understand how proud I am of you, but today they did, even if just for a little while." Rachel squeezed her hand gently, her eyes meeting Mia's with warmth and pride. "Mia, pride isn't something that needs the approval of others. It lives in your heart, and as long as you feel it, no one can take it away. You were brave to speak about me today, even when it was hard, and that bravery shows what kind of person you are becoming. Mia thought about Mrs. Parker's reaction earlier, the hesitation, the surprise, and the quiet apology, and realized that while it was nice that her teacher had recognized her feelings, the validation that truly mattered came from within herself and from her mom, who understood and appreciated her courage. The two walked past familiar streets, the sky now painted with soft oranges and pinks as the sun began to set, and Mia felt a sense of calm and safety that only her mom's presence could give. She remembered the whispers in the classroom, the laughter of a few students, and the sting of embarrassment she had felt that morning, but she realized that those feelings, while real, were fleeting compared to the pride and love she carried for her mom. "I wish I could tell everyone what you do every day," Mia said quietly, "so they could understand why I'm proud, but I guess they just don't see it unless they actually experience it." Rachel nodded thoughtfully, her expression softening. "That's true, Mia. People sometimes need to see things for themselves. But what matters most is that you understand, that you honor your family, and that you carry the lessons you've learned. You've already inspired me with your courage, and someday you will inspire others too, even if they don't realize it at first." Mia felt a surge of confidence at her mother's words, a growing belief that her pride and honesty were gifts, not weaknesses, and that she could continue to carry them even in situations where others didn't understand. As they reached their home, Mia noticed the familiar smells of dinner being prepared, the warm light spilling from the windows, and the small garden her mom always tended when she was home. It all felt welcoming and safe, a place where Mia could process the day, reflect on her feelings, and bask in the love and guidance of her mother. Over dinner, they talked quietly about small things: school, friends, homework, but Rachel gently wove in lessons about courage, responsibility, and helping others. She told Mia stories of her teammates, the people they had helped during missions, and the small acts of kindness that often went unnoticed but made a difference in the world. Mia listened with wide eyes, absorbing every word, and realized that her mother's heroism wasn't just about physical strength or impressive achievements, but about the way she approached life, cared for others, and stayed true to her values no matter what challenges arose. Later that evening, after dishes were done and the house was calm, Mia and her mom sat together in the living room, looking through photos from past missions and letters Rachel had written while away. Mia felt a deep sense of connection, realizing that even when her mom was far from home, her love, guidance, and lessons were always present, shaping her into a courageous, kind, and proud person. Rachel encouraged Mia to write about her feelings, to express her pride in ways that mattered to her, whether through stories, drawings, or letters, reminding her that self-expression was a powerful tool for understanding oneself and inspiring others. Mia took out her notebook and began to write, pouring her heart onto the pages, sharing not just the excitement and pride she felt about her mom, but also the challenges of feeling misunderstood, the lessons she had learned about courage, and the strength she had discovered within herself. Her words flowed naturally, capturing the emotions of the day, the hope she carried for the future, and the unwavering love she felt for her mother. As she wrote, Rachel sat nearby, watching with quiet pride, occasionally offering gentle guidance or encouragement, and Mia felt a sense of calm fulfillment, knowing that her feelings were valid, important, and worthy of being expressed. Before bed, Rachel tucked Mia in and held her close, whispering that bravery wasn't about never feeling fear or embarrassment, but about continuing to act with honesty, kindness, and pride even when it was difficult. Mia nodded, feeling a warmth in her chest that made her almost forget the hurt she had felt earlier in the day, replaced now with a deep sense of confidence, love, and understanding. She realized that courage and pride weren't limited to extraordinary feats or heroic actions. They could be found in small moments, in speaking the truth, in standing up for what you believe in, and in honoring the people who inspire you. That night, as she drifted into sleep, Mia imagined future days where she would continue to face challenges, speak honestly, and share her pride in her family, knowing that she carried the strength and wisdom of her mother within her. She thought about Daniel, her friends, and even Mrs. Parker, and understood that everyone had lessons to learn, but the most important lesson was the one she held in her heart, that pride, love, and courage were enduring qualities, ones that could guide her through school, life, and every challenge she would face. Mia dreamed of adventures, not only those her mom experienced far away, but also the ones she would face in her own life, standing up for herself, helping others, and embracing her inner strength without fear of judgment. And as she slept, the quiet confidence she had discovered that day wrapped around her like a protective blanket, reminding her that even when the world seemed harsh, unfair, or unkind, the love she shared with her mom, the lessons she had learned, and the pride she carried would always remain unshakable. By the time morning arrived, Mia felt renewed, ready to return to school with her head held high, her heart full, and a new understanding that courage and pride were not measured by what others thought, but by how true she remained to herself and the people she loved. And in that quiet morning, as the sun peeked through her window, Mia made a promise to herself: she would continue to honor her mom's lessons, speak her truth, embrace her pride, and face life with courage, no matter what challenges came her way, because she had already discovered the most important truth of all, that real bravery came from love, honesty, and the courage to be proud of who you are and the family that inspires you every day. The next morning, Mia woke up earlier than usual, her heart still racing from the events of the previous day. The sun had barely begun to rise, casting soft golden light across her room, and she felt a quiet excitement as she got ready for school. For the first time in a long time, she didn't feel nervous about what others might think of her. The pride she carried for her mother, Captain Rachel Thompson, felt like a steady flame in her chest, warming her from the inside and giving her courage to face the day ahead. Breakfast was quiet but comforting, with her mother preparing food as usual, sharing gentle smiles and small words of encouragement. "Remember, Mia," Rachel said, setting a plate in front of her daughter, "courage isn't only in big actions, it's in the small choices we make every day. Stand tall, speak your truth, and be proud of who you are." Mia nodded, her fork hovering over her breakfast for a moment as she thought about what her mom had said. She knew that today would be another chance to show the world that pride and courage weren't just words, they were actions, feelings, and choices that shaped who she was becoming. On the way to school, Mia walked with her mom beside her, feeling the familiar security of her presence and the reassurance that no matter what challenges came, she could face them with strength. She noticed the familiar streets bathed in sunlight, the neighbors' children playing in the yards, and even the way the leaves shimmered on the trees, and for some reason, everything felt more alive and full of possibility than before. Arriving at school, Mia noticed that some of her classmates were still talking about the convoy and her mother's visit from the previous day. Whispers and curious glances followed her as she walked down the hallway, but this time, instead of feeling embarrassed, she felt a quiet pride. She held her head high, her chest slightly lifted, and her steps firm. She realized that the attention she received wasn't meant to shame her, it was a reflection of awe and respect, and she let herself feel that, accepting it with grace and confidence. As she entered her classroom, she saw Mrs. Parker arranging papers at her desk, and when their eyes met, Mia noticed something different. There was a gentle acknowledgement, a quiet respect in the teacher's eyes, and Mia felt a sense of closure for the morning's incident. She gave a small smile, and Mrs. Parker returned it, nodding ever so slightly. "Good morning, Mia," she said, her voice softer than usual. "I hope you had a good evening." Mia nodded politely, feeling the tension of yesterday begin to fade. When the students were called to share their family stories once again, Mia felt a wave of calm confidence. This time, she wasn't nervous or worried about being dismissed. She spoke clearly and proudly about her mom, recounting the missions, the letters, and the lessons of courage and kindness she had learned. Her classmates listened attentively, some even asking questions with genuine curiosity, and Mia realized that sharing her story was not about impressing anyone, but about expressing something meaningful that had shaped who she was. Mrs. Parker listened quietly, occasionally glancing down at her notes, but this time without judgment, and when Mia finished, the classroom was filled with a thoughtful silence. Some students whispered to each other, admiring the courage it took for both Mia and her mother, and Mia felt a deep sense of satisfaction, knowing that her voice had been heard and respected. At recess, Daniel came running up to her, a big grin on his face. "That was amazing, Mia," he said. "You spoke so confidently, and everyone could see how proud you are of your mom. I'm really proud of you too." Mia laughed softly, feeling warmth spread through her chest. "Thanks, Daniel. I think I finally understand that pride isn't about what others think. It's about what you feel in your heart." Daniel nodded, understanding completely, and together they ran to the swings, letting the wind rush past them as they laughed and played. When school ended that afternoon, Mia walked home with her mom once again, feeling a sense of accomplishment and peace. The world outside seemed brighter, more open, and full of possibilities. They talked about the day, about the questions her classmates had asked, and about the lessons Mia had learned, not just about pride and courage, but about honesty, empathy, and the importance of standing tall in the face of misunderstanding. At home, Mia sat down to write in her journal, capturing the events of the day, the emotions she had felt, and the lessons she had learned. She wrote about her embarrassment, her fear, her pride, and most importantly, the love she carried for her mom. Each word felt powerful, a reminder that expressing oneself honestly was a form of bravery. Later, Rachel pulled Mia close again, tucking her in with the gentle care she had always shown. "I'm proud of you, Mia," she whispered. "You've learned something very important. Bravery isn't just in what you do for others, but in how you honor yourself and the people you love. Never forget that." Mia hugged her mom tightly, feeling the truth of those words sink deep into her heart. That night, as she drifted to sleep, she imagined the adventures her mom undertook, the lessons she had shared, and the courage that lived in both of them. She realized that life would continue to bring challenges, moments of doubt, and times when others might not understand her, but the pride, love, and bravery she carried were hers forever. Over the next few weeks, Mia noticed changes not only in herself but in how her classmates treated her. Some who had whispered or laughed earlier approached her with respect, asking questions about her mom, about courage, and about the lessons she had learned. Others remained quiet, but Mia no longer felt the need to seek their approval. She had discovered something much more valuable, a confidence and inner strength that could not be shaken by judgment or misunderstanding. She continued to speak openly about her mother when asked, sharing stories of courage, teamwork, and kindness, and found that her words inspired her classmates in ways she had never expected. Even Mrs. Parker began to incorporate lessons about courage, empathy, and resilience into her teaching, subtly influenced by the experience with Mia, and Mia felt a quiet satisfaction knowing that her honesty had helped others learn and grow. One afternoon, Mia received a letter from her mother, written while Rachel was away on a short mission. The words were filled with love, encouragement, and wisdom, reminding Mia to keep being brave, kind, and proud, and Mia felt a surge of emotion as she read them aloud. She realized that even when her mother was not physically present, her lessons, love, and guidance were always with her, shaping her actions, decisions, and character. As months passed, Mia continued to carry the lessons of courage and pride she had learned, facing challenges at school and in life with a newfound confidence. She understood that embarrassment or judgment were temporary, but the strength, love, and values she had discovered were lasting. She embraced opportunities to help others, to speak honestly, and to express her pride in her family, knowing that these actions reflected the same courage and kindness her mother had demonstrated for years. And one evening, as Mia and Rachel sat together watching the sunset from their backyard, Mia realized something profound: the pride and love she felt for her mother, and the courage she had discovered within herself, were gifts that could never be taken away. They were hers to carry, share, and nurture, guiding her through life with confidence, compassion, and integrity. With a deep breath, Mia leaned against her mother, feeling the warmth, protection, and love that had always surrounded her, and she knew that no matter what challenges lay ahead, she would face them with bravery, honesty, and pride. In that quiet, golden moment, Mia understood the most important lesson of all: real courage and true pride were not about recognition from others, but about honoring your heart, embracing the people who inspire you, and living every day with honesty, kindness, and love. And as the sky darkened and stars began to twinkle above, Mia felt a deep sense of peace, knowing that she had found her own strength, carried her mother's lessons in her heart, and discovered that the greatest victories were those of love, truth, and courage shared between a parent and child.